How we doing, y'all on YouTube? Let's see what we got. Let's see. Holy shit. Okay.
Hello, hello, beautiful humans. I'm Shelby Cartman, Double Blend's co-founder and editor-in-chief, and today we're talking about the Jack Frost mushroom. Hello, hello, beautiful humans. I'm Shelby Cartman, Double Blend's co-founder and editor-in-chief, and today we're talking about the Jack Frost mushroom. But before we do, I just want to remind you to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never want to see from us. Also, in case you didn't know, we have an incredible free newsletter called The Drop-In, where every week, right to your inbox, you hit psychedelic news, cultural profiles of interesting psychedelic characters, and a whole section on trip tips for going more deeply into your journeys with psychedelics. And part of why we put so much love into this newsletter recently is because of the fact that we've been facing censorship on all these different platforms, Instagram, Google, even this channel. And you know, it's really scary because we put so much love into building a community on these platforms, and then our accounts can basically be taken away overnight. And so we wanted to, put together this newsletter so that we could connect with all of you people and make sure that if that ever happens, that we'll always be able to, stay in touch. We do events, we do all kinds of things, and we'd love to meet you in person, and we'd love to have you as a part of our community. So let's talk about the history and origin of the Jack Frost mushroom. Jack Frost is the outcome of breeding between two Philosophy cubensis mushroom strains, albino and albino teacher, according to James Giordano, professor of neurology and biochemistry at Georgetown University Medical Center. They don't naturally grow in the wild, but rather people began breeding them indoors over the past few years. James Giordano told us they're, quote, really new on the market, and that they only hit the market in 2018 or 2019. Jack Frost mushrooms were first crossed and isolated by grower Dave Wombat, who bred albino peanut envy mushrooms with Wombat Spoon albino teacher mushrooms, according to mycologist Kane Barlow, who is also just an amazing human and a teacher in our mushroom growing course. Usually, strain history is lost from deleted parts of the internet or people not wanting to out themselves, but in this case, there is no rumor or speculation into that.
Got his ass!
Documentation to identify Dave Wombat as the originator of the strain. While many psychonauts have yet to...
What are you doing? Wait!
Some have taken an interest in them due to their potency. Bjorn Fritz, a chemist at Rose City Laboratories in Portland, Oregon, says, quote, it is an above average potency cubensis that usually comes in at 10 to 12 milligrams per gram of psilocybin compared to 6 to 8 milligrams per gram we see on average. Oakland Hyphae, a testing company in Oakland, California, which also does amazing events throughout California and is run by our friend Reggie, has found that Jack Frost mushrooms have a potency range of 7 to 12 milligrams per gram, averaging around 10 milligrams per gram, according to laboratory director Tomas Derek. However, there are many types of Jack Frost mushrooms out there, and they're not genetically identical, so they vary in potency, according to Andrea Schmidt, founder and CEO of the Psychedelic Therapy Center Gaia Therapeutics. Jack Frost mushrooms are albino mushrooms, meaning that their stem and caps have a white color. You can also recognize them by their gills, the thin structures hanging under the cap, which become slightly bluish when they mature, and their bulky, sometimes bumpy stems, according to Nolo, who has grown and consumed Jack Frost mushrooms himself. They are visually stunning mushrooms with their white stuff, white caps, and blue gills, and because of their white spores, they are often described as though they have a covering of snow, says Butler. Nolo adds that growers like to pick Jack Frost mushrooms when they're a bit past maturity. The caps start to become a, quote, reversed umbrella, as the fruiting body can grow larger than the usual golden teacher, with caps reaching the height of your palm, he says. The Jack Frost growth cycle is not much different from general strains, but is known to take longer to colonize a given substrate, and can be a bit slower to form primordia and grow mushrooms. Nolo used to grow Jack Frost mushrooms, but found that the yields were slow, so he switched to other strains. He told us, quote, a full growth cycle of Jack Frost from spring colonization to fruiting can take 5 to 7 months, depending on how consistent your conditions are. It's most responsive on colder seasons, as it likes temperatures around 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit and requires little to no light at all. Jack Frost can grow in any substrate consisting of hardwood, but Nolo has found that they grow best in powder. Some also find that Jack Frost grows well in rye grains, and that you can expect a few good flushes before the mycelium weakens and will grow. Nolo says, this is not a type of species that grows